Monday Onyekachi Ubani, senior advocate of Nigeria, is a former vice chairman of Nigerian Bar Association. That is after he was already chairman Ikeja branch of Nigeria Bar Association. That is the branch that is regarded as the tiger branch of all the branches of Nigeria Bar Association nationwide in Nigeria. Barrister Monday Onyekachi Ubani, happy Sunday to you and welcome to this show.
Yeah, Shege. How are you today?
Yes, we are coping because in
I must
Nigeria
tell you.
we've been coping in
Yeah,
Nigeria. Barrister,
yeah, you have to
there,
cope.
there, there,
Thank
there are
you for
issues
having me.
now. So many issues, especially with the Senate presidency, suspension of elected governor in Rivers State, emergency rule, and all that. So, we just want to look at constitutional uh, positions and your views too, because I know lawyers usually don't agree. If they all enter into the same provisions of the constitution, they will definitely have the ways they interpret it and defend one angle to the other. So, prior now, there was one issue among senators. A senator representing Kogi, one of the senatorial districts in Kogi, that's Senator Natasha Akpabio, had issue with other colleagues, but specifically with the Senate president, wherein she alleged that she was harassed. And you understand what I mean? And while a lot of people expected that she tendered allegation before the Senate, the Senate instead suspended her. There's been forth and back as to her rights, as to the rules of the Senate and all that. Presto Bani, what's your view, especially legally speaking, with that particular scenario?
Thank you. We need to put everything you have just narrated into proper context. What happened on the floor of the Senate sometime in February was that Senator Aboti came to the Senate, and then she was informed by the sergeant at arms that her seat has been changed. She contested it and said no, that they have no right to change her seat, and went to go.
Wow, network. Apologies for that. I guess his device is having calls disturbing. So if you're just joining, I have Barrister Monday Onyekachi Ubani, the senior advocate of Nigeria, former chairman Ikeja branch, also former vice president, Nigerian Bar Association. That's Barrister Monday Onyekachi Ubani, and it's responding to the things that have been happening on the floor of the Senate. And we are going to be looking together at the constitutional, moral, and other secular positions on the matter. We hope Barrister Monday Ubani joins back immediately. Also, he's going to be looking at, we are going to be looking together into the issue with emergency rule that has been declared by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Rivers State, as well as the suspension, like Professor Wole Soyinka has described it as wholesale. How do you use the language? Wholesale decision on the governor, the deputy, as well as the state House of Assembly. Let me keep trying Barrister Ubani to see if he will join back immediately. Okay, we have him back.
Yes. Are you hearing me? Am I there?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes, you're here. So please
Hello,
continue.
hello, Shagun. Okay, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah. So she was insisting on order 10, and order 10 is on issue of breach of privilege.
Mm. Well, I'm so sorry once again. It's the network. I know there's also possibility that there are so many calls coming into his device that are interrupting with the network for him. Let me try him again. Please stay tuned. Stay. Just hold on. I'm so sorry about that.
Are you there?
Yes, we're here, Barrister.
Are we live? Are we live or is it being
Yes,
recorded?
we are live. We are live. People are here.
Live. I'm very sorry about this. So there was an interruption, as I said. So at
Yeah, I
that point,
understand.
she was insisting on her order 10, which says her privilege has been breached. And the Senate president asked her to go to her seat, that it is only at that seat that she has been reallocated that she can be here. And that is the rules of the Senate. Is there in their rule. You can only speak from the seat where you are located. And when you don't, listen to that, then you will run into problem of not being given an audience. So they were instructing her. If you remember that somebody like Abba Moro, who happens to be a very distinguished senator from Kogi, I think, went to her and she did not. Other people also, elders from the Senate, went to her to plead with her to go to her seat and she refused. So that's actually what happened that day, and then the proceedings continued. So the following day, this her misbehavior was brought to the attention of the House generally, and then referred to a committee. They have a committee called Ethics, Privileges, and Public Petition Committee. That is a committee that deals with any complaint, any issue of privilege, ethics that involve members or members of the public and all that. They always bring petition to that committee. So they tender that particular petition was brought formally by a senator who felt that his right has been breached. And so the matter was referred to that particular committee. They invited her in order to hear her own side of the story, whether she was right in what she did. But what happened again is that the following day, the distinguished senator went to Brekete Radio to go and begin to canvass, certain allegations, including the fact that she has been denied privileges, she has been denied rights, that she has been bullied, and all manner of allegations were made on that particular Brekete Radio, which is also contrary to the rules of senators. When you have any issue, you don't go and canvass it on the media. You, if it is a committee or a way of motion or a way of non-motion, whatever it is, you raise the issue and they will be able to listen and deal with it. She was now carrying the matter outside the floor of the Senate. And that again, led to that matter being referred to committee. And she was invited, but she refused to attend to that committee sitting. I think she went to court and got an order, to restrain the Senate committee from carrying out the responsibility of investigating her. And I think it's on 6th, the report was presented. And of course, the recommendations of the committee were read. And it's like it was massively voted in favor of her suspension for 6 months, even when there was room for a reprieve. In case she apologizes, she can be asked to come back. The entire members of the committee, of the Senate, voted against her. But the Senate president used his veto power to overrule the voting of the members by saying that if she apologizes, that she will be brought back, and be forgiven, by the Senate. That is actually what happened. Then there are other auxiliary punishment that was actually pronounced and then voted for massively against her also. Was no single senator that spoke in her favor. It
Hmm.
was when she learned of this suspension, the impending suspension, that she now told the entire Nigeria that they should wait, that she has something to tell the world, on her rise. And by 9 a.m., before that date, before the punishment, of suspension was meted out to her, she went to Arise and then told Arise and the world that she was sexually harassed. And what was the story? Her story is that she visited the home of distinguished Senator Akpabio on the 8th of December 2023. And then at a time, she and her husband followed Akpabio to go around the house, the rooms of the house and all, where he was showing off his house. And then in one of the instances, her husband was following behind. The distinguished senator now asks her, "Do you like my house? Where I would like to come back here." And then you give her a good time and all that. That was actually the story she painted to the world. And she also told the entire world that her husband came to her and asked her what was the issue? Was there anything? And she said no. She didn't even tell the husband this particular sexual harassment story until I'm sure the husband heard that story on the television that day she went to arise. So again, looking at placing this matter under context, your seat was reallocated in 2025. You were very angry with that particular rearrangement. According to you, we are supposed to have been informed prior to you coming to the house. That's what she said. And then she got so angry. Now, the next thing you now came to television, a few days after, is to now begin to talk about sexual harassment and sexual harassment that took place in December 2023. You didn't relate it to your husband. You did not relate it to any security agency. You did not even tell it to any close friend or any person. But you are now revealing this particular information in 2025 as a result of the city reallocation and all that. So it also raises the issue as to whether there was really sexual harassment issue. And if there was, why do you have to wait until 2 years thereafter before you begin to raise the issue? Well, you have a right because you can raise it at any
Maybe it
point in
wasn't
time. But
ripe
before,
at the time. Yes.
yeah, maybe it wasn't right. So is that then you have to now provide the basic that can back you up, because going by all the stories she's been telling, because there's a new one now about her waist movement. There's a story about her not wearing her ring, and then the president says, oh, is it an invitation to treat? There has been all manner of stories concerning this issue of sexual harassment, but she needs to provide basic evidence to really back her up. If she's going to the police, or she wants to go to the court, or wants to present this matter before the ethics committee, the basic evidence has to be there. If it is your word against the person you are making the allegation, it is going to be very difficult for you to prove. So, but I don't know whether the evidence have been provided by her or not. So what the word is asking now is that, can you provide the basic evidence of this sexual harassment? Because it is not, it just is simple to just allege. Whoever alleges must prove, because it's a very serious allegation. I am not making light of the fact that sexual harassment is a very serious offense that should be dealt, treat with all manner of seriousness. I mean, every woman that works in a company must have a very conducive atmosphere under which to work. Whether you are a woman or whether you are a man, you must work in a very conducive, without any coercion, without any bullying, without any force. Now, if there is any evidence you have over this allegation, so you have to now present, because it's now on you to present it. Whoever alleges any fact must prove it. But if you keep on making these allegations without any iota of proof, then you run into a problem. More so when there has been instances previously when you have made such allegations, and at the end, there were no iota of evidence, and you have probably used those things to get up in life and all that politically. But this time around, people are now asking for evidence, and she has gone far. She has gone all over the world, granted interview to virtually all the notable media houses in the world, saying different stories. But the point is that at each point, she does not provide any evidence. And then she also made an allegation, which again is also countered by the Senate. She says because of the fact that the sexual advances, was rebuffed, or were rebuffed, that she has not been allowed to operate maximally as a representative of her people. But that is, again, is contrary, because going by all the evidence of synopsis of all her engagement in the house, she has done so much. They have all that. There are so many things she has done. There are so many motions she has moved. There are bills she has also sponsored that have passed even up to second reading. Her motion, even for Ajokuta still investigation, has gone into committee stage. The committee has even visited Ajokuta and all that. So many other things and all that. And last year, or this year rather, this day, Arise nominated as one of the best senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That can only be possible for somebody who has been allowed to operate maximally with representing her constituents. So I don't understand this. She's being bullied and she's not allowed to operate, because the evidence on ground is contrary to her assertion that the result of her refusal has actually led her to be rendered redundant in the House. Whereas there is evidence that she has done so much, to the extent that she was nominated and voted for as one of the best senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not as the best market woman, but as a best senator. You couldn't have achieved that feat without being given an opportunity within the Senate. So everything is the contrary. So what we're saying is that if you have evidence of this, your sexual harassment, bring it forward. Now, she has done the right thing by having the petition signed by the constituent, and now have represented her petition. Remember that the first time she did she did not follow the rules and it was regarded as dead on arrival. But later, she now presented a very correct petition before the Senate. And that Senate has referred her petition now to Ethics Committee to look into. So she has to go and further, give evidence and adopt her petition. Because when you write a petition, you have to adopt it and then now make further presentation in order to convince the committee members of the allegations you have alleged in your petition. But if you now put that petition without coming to give further evidence in order to really put sufficiency, to her petition, she will run into another problem again. So she must know that she has a duty, she owes a duty to come and substantiate her allegation before the committee. And I'm sure the committee has invited her, and up to now, she has not been able to show up, even after the petition has been referred to the ethics committee. So that is a little I know concerning this thing. So my take, Shegu, is that we are not taking her allegation lightly. The allegation is not being taken lightly. Anyone who love, issue of women, who love issue of human rights, who respect rights of fellow citizens, must be on the vanguard in order to ensure that whosoever has any grievance must have that grievance sorted out, must have that grievance addressed. But you must follow procedure too. Procedurally, you must follow procedure in order to table your grievance in a manner that is structured. But if you begin to use the social media in order to send your this, then the social media will decide your matter. But if you follow it in a structured manner, follow the institution that can deal and give you reprieve, you also will get justice at that level. She has gone to court and she has also gone to the Senate. But she's now going all over the papers, all over the news media, going to IPU and all that. Those institutions cannot in any way give her justice. There is a structured institution that will also that will give her justice. That's what we're trying to say. But up to now, she has not been following that structured institution, and it's so bad.
Okay, so thank you so much for that, for the way you put the sequence, barrister. But then I know it will be very difficult for anybody to prove such allegation of sexual harassment, especially for female. I know many people are afraid to come out to say such things. One, because of stigma. Second, network. Can you hear me, barrister? Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I'm hearing you now.
Okay.
I'm hearing you. There was time there was a seizure.
Okay,
I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you.
Okay,
I'm
great.
hearing you.
Okay, so I also know that it will be very difficult for her to prove without evidence. I also know that, for instance, where she said, "Oh, dancing, yeah, your waist would be good to dance," all that can be very difficult, except they were recorded. That's one. I also know that it is not every woman is brave enough or courageous enough to come out and make such allegations. But I also know at the same time that some women in a society like ours, any woman can set any man up by making such mere allegations. So it's now important for proof or evidences before we can establish such. But away from that, there was suspension. And if the public definitely want to link it, like if she's making the allegation before sexual harassment story came up, at first it was that they were trying to silence her. She suspected that the rearrangement of seats without communication to her were part of schemes or conspiracy to silence her. Maybe she was doing too much or she was coming too much at her, and she wanted limelight. I see her as somebody who really liked to be seen and to be heard, perhaps because of the projects she has for her constituents that she really wants to push. But then at the same time, while she was pushing all the petitions and all of that, it was followed immediately by suspension. That suspension is one of the reasons that a lot of people, and Nigerians are impressionable people, that suspension is one of the reasons that people feel maybe they just wanted her to keep quiet for a while. And the kind of person a lady like or a woman like Senator Natasha is, if you are silencing her in one place, she will want to look for other channels or means to continue to speak because she felt her suspension was as a result of attempts or one of the attempts to get her silenced. What do you think about that suspension itself? Do you think it's right in order, or do you think the Senate should just simply look at it in another way and say, okay, why not just present your matter properly and let the ethics committee look into it and do the right justice?
No, what happened is that people are mixing up this issue of suspension with the issue of sexual allegation, sexual harassment allegation. They are quite different. Remember that there has been instances where senators quarrel with the leadership, and at the end, when they are properly briefed of the step they have taken that is wrong, and they apologize, they always giving reprieve. Senator Akpabio had similar incidents where he came to the floor of the Senate and discovered that his own seat was also changed. And he was very angry that day. When they eventually explained to him the process that led to the seat reallocation and why,
This is a
there was
network trouble here.
yeah, no, somebody called and they interrupted.
Okay.
Are you hearing me
Okay.
now? Yeah, somebody called.
Yeah, clearly we can hear
So
you now.
yeah, yeah. So he also he apologized immediately. The point is that you can make a mistake. You remember that Senator Shomole of the this 10th House of Assembly went to channels and he thought he was actually addressing, advocating.
Oh wow. The calls are just too much, and let me try to bring him back. But I see your comments, everybody. Just Reason believes that it's not difficult to prove sexual harassment. At the same time, believes that it can be excused given the Nigerian circumstance. Um, Olu says we need to know, we need to understand why she keeps going everywhere because the senator seems to be in support of the president. Olu also believes that it is the frustration that linked to the outburst. Okay, keep the comments coming, and if you have questions for Barrister Ubani, please you can as well just drop it in the live comments. Let me attempt to bring him back again. Please just hang on, everybody. We'll be back shortly now because we also need to ask about the legality or constitutionality of decision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Rivers State. I know a lot of people are already reacting to that. Just a moment, please. I'm attempting to bring him back. I'm making efforts here. Just hold on. At any rate, you can just keep your comments coming. What do you think about the suspension of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan? What do you think about Senate's decision? What do you think about our own action herself going from place to place to talk about uh, alleged victimization by the Senate? Does the senator think 6 months suspension is not too harsh for the offense? I'll ask Barrister when he returns. 6 months. These are issues. Network issue, electricity issue, pressure issues, so many issues in Nigeria. Okay. The Senate has not been fair with her. Now, do you suspect that? Does anybody suspect that there is a gang up? Because the question is, would it be possible for everybody to be against one person? Like majority are against one person. Even Senator Oshomole, yeah, Senator Oshomole said they should tamper justice with mercy or something like that when I heard him speak. And it sounded like he too doesn't believe Senator Natasha, and that he too believes that she must have heard, but that she should be given a power on the wrist and, like tamper justice with mercy for her. But I also saw Senator Kwemi Bamidele, the manner at which he aggressively spoke against Senator Natasha, more like it sounded more like there was already an existing beef prior that incident, and he wanted to use it as avenue to then come with force against her. There's a lot. I know it can be if somebody lies against you. If somebody lies against you, if a woman lies against you as a man, you can be very serious. I mean, there's a way you feel. It can be so hard on you. But at the same time, if that allegation were true, there is also fear by women to speak up because of stigma and as well as how the community may perceive the woman herself. I think I have Barrister back.
Yes, you have me back. I'm very sorry. Oh. At a time, so many calls were coming in, because we are doing this interview with my phone and not with my tablet, because we had an issue with the tablet. That's why all these interruptions. I'm certainly very sorry.
It's okay, we can
So as I
understand.
was explaining, yes. So as I was explaining, he did not apologize, because her going to break it and then trying to externalize, the problem actually aggravated, the members of the house. And as I said earlier, she is of a PDP, and there was no single PDP member that actually spoke in her favor. If you remember that day that
Mm,
the punishment was meted out on her, there was no single person that actually said, "Look, the Senate was taking an excessive action against her." It was because of her misbehavior that led to that suspension. It has nothing to do with the sexual harassment. Her sexual harassment allegation has been tabled. What she needs to do now is to come and provide particulars and evidence to back up her allegation. Because one thing is to make allegation, as I said earlier. Another is to actually prove. Because whoever is alleging something must have gathered the evidence. It's not just simple to just defame a man, call a man all manner of name, go to all the social media, go to the entire world, IPU, New York, go to BBC, and then begin to make several allegations. Because you must back it up, because I mean, you are coming to the Senate for the first time, and that is the truth. But this is a man who has been once a governor, he has been a commissioner, he has been a minister, he has also been a senator, a minority leader, and at this same time now he has come back as a senator and a Senate president, number three person. So you must have the evidence in order to really back, or else it will look as if all the allegations is just a smear campaign, or you want to run him down, or maybe you are being sponsored by the opposition to make sure that because the allegation, oh, step down, you begin to wonder what are the evidence that will make him to step down to do what. If there is evidence and not, of course, there is no way distinguished Senator Akpabio will preside over a matter that involves him. He cannot preside over that matter because the matter itself has not been before him. I'm talking about the sexual harassment thing. They have not investigated it, and then they want to now probably rule on it. The normal thing is that he ought not to preside when the matter of sexual harassment been debated upon. But the one that has to do with the misbehavior, nothing wrong in him presiding over the issue of misbehavior because he was still the Senate president. But what is over such? Somebody else has to preside. That is the law.
But do you not think that 6 months suspension is harsh? That's one thing somebody has there for 6 months suspension. Do you not think
Okay,
it's
okay,
too
yeah.
harsh?
Some people are saying that. No, no, it is. I think that the senators, you look at what they are standing order, says. The president can suspend a member for 14 days, in the present, just like when you commit a contempt before the court. You can summarily be suspended. But when this matter goes to committee level and committee makes a recommendation, the Senate can by resolution. They can by resolution extend that for more than 14 days. It can be 6 months, it can be 3 months. But that is even not the issue. The issue is that she has a reprieve, she has a window. They say if she apologizes for her whatever they have found as a misconduct, during proceedings, that she will be forgiven. The reprieve is there. So why can't she take that particular, route and say, look, I'm very sorry, my business. If you watch her that day, she was pointing at the Senate, maybe Senate president, it's another. Senate president is older than her. In terms of achievement in life and all that, we are still told to respect others and all that. The way the whole thing happened, in the best interest. So
Sorry, we are still battling network again. And I also understand that there are some calls disturbing his phone. Okay, it's network this time, I can see. I think we shouldn't overflog the matter with Natasha and Akpabio. When Barrister returns now, I'll just go straight to the Senate and their position on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's order or declaration for state of emergency in River State, suspension of the governor, the deputy, and the entire. Hello, Barrister, can you hear me?
I don't know whether you are hearing me, Shegun. Shegun, are you hearing
I
me?
can hear you now, but yeah, I can hear you now. Can you hear me?
I was not
Hello,
hearing you.
Barrister,
I
can
don't
you hear
think you
me?
were also hearing me speaking. I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you
Okay,
now.
great. Okay, you
Can
went
you
off
hear
for
me
a bit, so
yourself?
but very clearly we can hear you now. But let's leave.
Okay. I'm sorry
Let's
about
leave that.
that.
It's okay. Let's leave Senators Akpabio and Natasha respectively. Now let's go to the recent matter where the president has declared state of emergency in River State, and the Senate. The manner with which they adopted it and approved it. A lot of people are worried that what kind of Senate is this one? That we learned that some members only use voice notes to to vote in support and the rest
I'm
of it.
beginning to have problem with your network, Shegun. Shegun, I'm beginning. Okay, okay, I'm hearing you now. I'm hearing you, right. Go ahead, go ahead. I'm hearing you. There was a time I was not hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we were talking about River State and the decision by the president to declare state of emergency, suspend the governor, the deputy, and as well as the entire state assembly. So, what is your own view vis-a-vis the legal position on this?
If you look at section
The
305,
constitutionality, yes.
it provides, yes, yeah, it provides that the president can declare state of emergency in any state, but the constitution was very specific as the grounds upon which you can declare state of emergency, right?
Mm.
And then I don't also, there's no provision of, again in that particular section that says the democratically elected institution must also go. But we have had precedent in Nigeria where heads, former presidents, while declaring state of emergency in the state, allow the institutions to go. And you look at what the courts have said in the various decisions and all that. Now, the president, I don't know what made him, because there must be a proper security briefing of what may have led him to say the institutions that are democratically elected must also go. If you follow this river state crisis, I've been involved in discussion on television, and I keep on saying that look, the court cases and the manner they are going about it cannot resolve this issue, because the people were saying no, the court will resolve this one, that they should go to court. And I said no, the only way this matter can be resolved is for the both parties, stakeholders, to come together and agree. Because if you allow the court to decide this matter, one party will be the loser and another party will be the winner. In that instance, have we solved the problem? But where both parties are agreed and draw up terms and all that, it will be better. People were abusing me and all that, and Nigerians, I don't know why personality has taken a flight in Nigeria. I don't know, when you are saying the truth, people are so bitter. They don't want to hear the truth and all that. Are we going to run out of our country? Are we going to begin to tell lies all in order to please people? People want to pander on sentiment. And I said, no, if you go through this court process, this matter will not be resolved. As if I prayed, if you watch my television interview, as if I knew that this thing will end up this way. I wanted a situation where both parties could have resolved this matter in a manner that concessions have to be made, both by Wike himself, who Incidentally, he's the godfather, and the young man who he made, God used a wicked to make him a governor. Both parties
I'm just wondering why
have a
politics.
role to play in resolving the playing democratically elected, dismantle democratically elected, institution. That is where people are not saying that the president has no right to declare state of emergency if those conditions are right. But what they are, probably looking at, can democratically elected institution also, be dismantled? What is information that the president has, that would have made him to do what he has done and all that? People say that there are security reports that the president has. As the president, he has top-notch information about what may happen if he does not take some decision. And taking decision is always in the interest of the country. So people are now examining what information did the president have that would have made him to also let go democratically elected institution, that these people were elected by the people. Can a president single-handedly now overrun or overturn the decision of those who have elected him? That's what people are questioning. But that the president has the right to declare state of emergency in any state based upon those ripe conditions that the constitution itself has provided is there. But it's good the way the Senate has also modified the running of the government, that the Senate will oversee, not that the executive or the presidency will be the one to oversee the running of that government, but the Senate, the House, the National Assembly will oversee what is going there. They will act as a legislative done by the Senate in the resolution that they. But whatever it is, we are debate. People are still debating it. People are still looking at it, and the president also is listening to all the argument that is going on television and radio. Was it right to dismantle democratically elected institution? Was there any information that the president has that we don't have that made him to do what he did and all that? And I think the president will be in a position to provide maybe some particulars. He may not give all the security information to Nigerians because some things are better kept at that level. But there are some certain information you can give that will also. You remember that Attorney General also spoke, and the Attorney
Hmm. Sorry about that. It's network.
General saying that there was certain thing that the governor did that actually precipitated the action did. So these are information that Nigerians will be willing to hear from the presidency why they did what they did and all that. But as for whether the president has a right to declare state of emergency, he has a right, but those rights must be based upon specific provisions of the constitution. It must be very imminent that there is going to be total breakdown of law and order. And people are now saying, can singular incident lead to that breakdown of law and order would have made the president to do what he did? And if he did, wouldn't it have been better for him to probably deploy military and allow, institutions to run? But the point is that the House and the governor, they were getting to the level where there is no agreement. No agreement today, no agreement tomorrow. They were not working harmoniously in order to protect the people that have been elected to govern. It was becoming impossible for governance to go on. And I said it before, that with all these problems, with all the crises, the people that elected them will not be able to enjoy the benefit of governance. And I said it, I want that the only way is for them to all come together and settle this matter peacefully. I was being abused. I was being called names. See where all the intransigency has led the whole rivers now into. And nobody likes it. Nobody likes it because the people voted for this man called Fubara. They voted for him. They will want him to complete his term without any interruption. But what is going on now is like that particular decision has been interrupted. The mandate of the people has been interrupted by what has happened for at least 6 months, believing that within 6 months he will be brought back to power. So it's not something anyone should share. It's not something we should be very happy about. I am not happy about it. As a Democrat, as an activist, what happened in Rivers is not something that anyone should be very happy about. And I don't think Fubara will be happy, and I don't think Wike himself is also a stakeholder will be happy in what is going on in Rivers State. That's what I want to say concerning that.
Yes, Barrister, you actually made one opinion while you were giving your speech that you already opined in the past that they should have come together and resolve whatever is between the two of them, both Fubara and Wike, so that this would not have degenerated into what it
Yes,
is right now. What this suggests simply is that
that's correct.
it is a political matter. Whatever is going on in Rivers State is clearly political. And so, are you not worried
That's right.
that in Nigeria, and particularly now in Rivers State, as evident in Rivers State now, that we Nigerians really dwell too much on politics than governance, because now this is governance being suspended, this is democracy being suspended, this is constitution being suspended, and this is politics playing out. What do you think about this whole situation where politics is superior to governance in Nigeria?
It's not something that we should share, but that's my opening statement concerning that. If you remember that when this trouble was brewing, that the president himself, contrary to, I mean, norms, I mean, he's supposed not to interfere, called them into Aso Rock and had a meeting and said, gentlemen, we shouldn't allow this to degenerate. I want people to agree how to work together. And then there was something that they signed in terms of memorandum of understanding that they should go and work together. But no sooner that than this, His Excellency Fubara got back to Port Harcourt, people now told him that he shouldn't have signed, that he made a mistake and all that. And before you know it, the trouble started to brew. They asked him to represent the budget, as agreed, in the Aso Rock, and he refused to do that. That led to court, actions, and you saw how the Supreme Court was not too happy that he was working with only minority of the lawmakers instead of the majority, and asked him to go and represent the budget. At that point, relationship had actually become very, very sour. So you see where all this has led. So instead of actually governance, as Riley pointed out, we are talking politics and we're dwelling so much on politics. So the president actually did the right thing by trying to intervene initially, believing that without fatherly intervention that this matter should have been resolved. Despite all that, this imbroglio continued. And then court cases. At the time, the judiciary also was not helping matters. A lot of expert orders were churned out. So many expert orders were churned out in this particular matter. In fact, if there is anything, I think Rivers State has overtaken Anambra State in terms of legal suits on political issues. Because if there's any state today that has so many cases in the court, is Anambra is leading, probably now followed by Rivers. So many cases came out of that particular crisis, and lawyers were making money and they were happy and then enjoying the scenario. But look at where all this has led. But still, there's still room for reconciliation. That is what I would plead. As a statesperson, as a statesman, I will still think that the way out of this imbroglio is for Wike himself as a father of that state, who also was against a godfatherism, to really say, look, this is my state. I'm not happy with what is going on. I want this is my godson, and I'm the one that even put him forward, in order to be what God has made him now to be. Let's have this matter resolved. Then Fubara himself lower himself and say, he's my Oga. We can have this matter resolved. What is the issue? They can agree. And before you know it, the presidency will have no other choice to see that they are working together and they have actually resolved this matter. Wike should not rejoice in what is happening now. Fubara should not also not rejoice for what is happening. Both of them can still meet and resolve this matter as really matured minds. And these are people that love their people. They love the Rivers people and they want to give them good governance. But what is going on presently may not guarantee that good governance. Now it's being run by an administrator who does not owe any responsibility to any of the electorate. Doesn't. He will do whatever he wants to do there within the 6 months and all that. So my take is that there is still room for these elders to come together and say, no, we cannot allow this. We can resolve this matter. And the presidency, when he sees that there is absolute faith in reconciliation, can come in and say, look, I cut short whatever months I've given to the administrator. He can, even though the constitution says 6 months. Of course, by doctrine of necessity, you can say, look, we have seen that there is apparent peace now in the state, and I'm cutting short and come back again to the Senate and to the House of Rep, and they will be able to pass a resolution allowing that 6 months not to probably run. I mean, somebody will say it's unconstitutional because the constitution said the first 6 months. It said the first 6 months and all that. But looking at the state of things, if these parties, the stakeholders come together to resolve this matter, the presidency will look at them again and say, okay, I am giving you an opportunity to go and govern your people in accordance with the mandate that has been given to you, Fubara. And I think that would be the best way out. And I'm only giving an advice. I'm only offering advice. Let nobody think I'm taking any position whatsoever. I want peace. The way I am now, with the level that God has actually given me, I should be playing the role of a leader. I should not be playing the role of being partisan or be following one person, blindly and begin to give wrong advice all because of my own selfish interest. No, I should be looking at national interest. And that's why when I speak now, I rarely speak, unlike before. I'm all over the place. Now I rarely speak. And when I want to speak now, I want to speak, truth to power and tell them the right thing to be done, not because of any person, Nobody can buy me, nobody can pay me. I am working now for Nigeria, and we want a country that our children will be very proud of. Our children are out there, looking for this and outside the country. We want all of them to come back in order to build a country all of us shall be very proud of. I'm very proud. I'm passionate about Nigeria, and nothing will ever stop me from being passionate about Nigeria. Nothing will ever make me to change my principles or what I believe in. I have principles that I believe in that people have known Ubani for. Nothing will ever make me to change that. I will always be on the side of truth, on the side of justice. Whether it is President Bola Tinubu, when President Bola Tinubu does it right, I will always applaud him. He's trying, to put the country right. But the situation today is that there are so many economic conditions that people are really suffering. We need to create employment. We need to make the naira to come up. We need to make the dollar to go down. We need to make pounds to go down. We need to have cost of living, go down. Cost of living is, you go today, you buy something. I mean, I like snail. The other day I went to go and buy snail with 20,000 and I could not get up to 4 snail. Are you following me? This is snail that I use 500, the biggest one to buy. 500 to buy snail. But now snail is almost 2,000 plus per one. In Nigeria, and we don't import snail and all that. Things are getting too expensive in the country. We need to
Barrister,
bring the cost of living down in order to make sure that people enjoy this nation. Yes, go ahead.
yes. Osazua Maxine on YouTube wants to know, what don't you
Mhm.
think that with the decision President Bola Ahmed took, that
Yes,
is rather taking sides with Wiki? Since he suspended, there are two
yes,
parties to this insane Wiki. Do you not think that the
yes.
president is already taking sides with Wiki?
That's
Why
what
didn't the
people are
suspension cut
saying. That
across
look,
the two
these
parties?
are
Yeah.
the president will tell you that he suspended the house. The house is the men of Wike, right? The house that is suspended are men of Wike, right? So are you hearing me, Shegun?
I'm with you.
Shegun,
Yes.
are you hearing me at all?
Yeah, very clearly. I can hear you.
So
I'm with you.
the president will tell you that, yeah, that he didn't. He not only suspended.
Wow, network again. He'll be back shortly. Please just hold on. Mm.
Fubara. He also suspended.
Let me attempt to bring him back. I have just one more questions for him. Just one more, and then we will close it for now. I understand that the network is so terrible. We are also unable to get Facebook people to join. It's only YouTube, and I think partly what it's only YouTube, and partially on X. That's Twitter. I don't know whatever the problem is with YouTube today. We're unable to get them to join the stream live. We are not getting their comments either. I guess it's a technical issue. Let me try to bring Barrister back. Just one more question and then we close it for today so that they can attend to all the callers who are disturbing his device. But keep your comments coming. Osazwa believes that even, what's the name now? Asari Dokubo, that was even supporting and instigating him later. I don't want to even talk about Asari Dokubo. Asari Dokubo is like that, One time is pro Tinubu, the next time if he doesn't get what he wants from Tinubu, he's against Tinubu and all that. So all those people, I just see somehow I see Asari the same way I see Reno. The only difference is that one is a militant leading some, the other one is just some kind of hustler. But all of these people, these are political interests, anyways. Michael Faban says Fubara removed political appointees of Wiki. That is the likely cause of the saga. Fubara has the right to make his own appointments. But one thing about all of these things is at the end of the day, Fubara didn't come there all on his own, right? He didn't come there all on his own. Fubara came in on the vehicle of Wiki. So Wiki feels that Fubara owes to him all the decisions he takes, at least some percentage of decisions he takes in the state. Even though Wike by himself in the past already spoke against godfatherism. Some of you remember that Wike spoke against Tinubu when Ambody was looking for second term. Edward Lunge, I'm surprised at some of the utterances of Mr. Ubani today. God has used Wike to make the man governor. Really? Is God using Wike to take control of the resources of River State for himself? I beg. Well, you see, someone made a comment before and said that if devil gives you something, and I'm not in any way saying Wiki is devil, it was just like some kind of analogy, like somebody trying to relate something. He said, if the devil gives you something and you expect him to just leave it for you to go and enjoy freely, you should also be shocked. You should be surprised. Like, you just give me and leave me. Just like somebody will say, I need somebody to give me a loan and leave me alone. Give me a loan and leave me alone. No, you definitely pay back. But unfortunately, this is where my concern is. Why is it that politics is more important than governance in Nigeria? Like, all of these things we are discussing are just politics. We are not discussing governance. We are not discussing improvement, development of lives and infrastructure. We are not discussing all of these things. We are only discussing politics. We are discussing how somebody will come into power and be sharing state resources with those who helped him to come to power. Just few people. Just few. You'll be cutting state resources that belongs to mass of people. Politics. That is what people, and what is even more shocking is the way you see poor people who have not even had a meal today or who managed to buy 2 gig data come on social media to defend one against the other. These are people who are mortgaging these are people who are taking state resources, dipping their hands in it, and sharing everything among themselves. And you see Nigerians still arguing for and against the two. And they completely neglect what matters to them. They completely neglect governors. They completely neglect their own side, their own position, their own interest. Like, you neglect your own interest to say it doesn't even matter whether they do this, they fund education, they fund health sector, they fund electricity, they fund road infrastructure, they fund this or that. It doesn't even matter anymore. What matters is I support this one. You're supposed to be giving this one the cut of what they are still I don't know how we got there, though, but it has been the trend. I don't know how we got there, but that's the trend. Please, if you know how we got here, kindly help me. We have Barrister back.
Shege,
Barrister Bani, one last question,
eh?
so I will let you go.
Okay, that would be nice.
So I just wanted to know. I mean, your view or your opinion about this Senate, this presents the Akpabio-led Senate, because a lot of people have criticized it as rubber stamp, not necessarily doing anything to check and balance, or but just everything the president wants, he has it expressed.
No, the point is that every man has his style, in governance. There are
Mm.
those that want to probably be antagonistic to the executive. There are those whose style is made let's run an administration so that it will be smooth and then help to ensure that there is no disruption. But they must also balance it. Are you following me? We must also be sensitive to the people that who have elected us, and that's why it is important that the legislators also have time to go back to their constituencies, and get a feedback, right? Because we can be here now and be saying this and another. We don't know what the constituents are also saying, telling them, when they get back. Because when you get back to your constituent, what are you interacting? What do you report to them? Are they happy with your level of representation? Are you carrying them along? Are they happy with the things you do with the executive without you probably doing it the way they want and all that? So I think the constituents feedback is what the legislators will also work with. And most of them have constituency offices where they get the feedback of whether they are doing well or whether what they are doing is actually in consonance with the mandate that they have expressly been given by the constituent. That is very, very key. But as I said earlier, everyone has a style. There are those who may want to be antagonistic. There are those who may want a smooth operation. Now, if you remember that it is this same Senate when the president wanted to declare war against one of the West African countries, they went against the presidency. They did not agree with the presidency and all that. There has been instances also where the National Assembly have gone against, like this particular state of emergency that the president wanted to be the one to micromanage what is going on in rivers, but the Senate did not agree and said no. The National Assembly should be the one to carry out legislative function. So it may not necessarily be that every time that whatever the presidency wants, he gets it. There is also a level of checks. There are also level of balancing. But what the presidency may have done that is actually working for him in this particular government is that they have a committee where the executive and and this and have a small, understanding of whatever is coming by way of bill, by way of motions, and by way of, policy of the government. So when that particular understanding is reached, they don't come to the house and begin to debate. Bola Tinubu is a very strategic person who knows what he wants and what he wants for the country. So if you create such a conducive atmosphere to have relationship with the legislative assembly and work harmoniously in order to actualize your dream of a dream country of who you want, the dream country you want, you may not be having too many problems in having your policies fell through. So if you have that particular style, somebody may see it as rubber stamp, whereas there has been a smoothing, there must have been an agreement, there must have been the way it's supposed to be presented in order to ensure that there is smoothness in running of the governance. And at the end, it is the people themselves that is the ultimate, winner in the whole game and all that. That may be what is actually playing out, and people may be seeing it as rubber stamp. But I have a situation where most of the thing that the executive want is not granted wholesome. There are issues of saying no, this cannot go, or this can go for the interest of the people and all that. So we must balance it. As I said, there is issue of style. Shegu, if you become the speaker of your state now, I don't know which state you come from, tomorrow, you may adopt a very hostile attitude towards the executive. Somebody else come tomorrow and say, I'm not going to adopt, I will want a situation where there is smooth operation between the executive and the legislature. But it must be in the interest of the people, because at all, it's about the interest of the people. If the interest of the people does not come in, then the people have a right to be angry. But most importantly, see what I said, issue of constituency reacting and telling their people, oh, we didn't agree with you on this, we agree with you on this. It's important that that particular platform is created where the constituents can be able to interact with their legislators or representative and tell them, no, on this one we disagree. This is the way we want our representation. If that is not done, then there is a problem, because that allows constituency offices to be held, to be built in all across all the constituencies, so that you can interact with those who have elected you and then get their input of what you should be able to be doing in Abuja at the national level and at the state level. That is what I think should be done, my brother. That's my own advice. If I become a legislator tomorrow, I want to get an input of my people. I want to know what they're feeling. I want to know whether I'm representing them well. If I'm not doing that, then that means that if I come for second tenure, they will deny me the opportunity of coming to represent them. See that I'm not representing them well. That is what I think. I don't know
Okay,
whether
as a
I've made
follow up
any
to
sense.
that before we go. Yes, I get
Yes.
you that it is a style. It's a
Yes.
question of style. I get you.
But it's a question of
Okay.
time. At the same time, it's also a question of the people that elected them. What is their input? How are they interacting with their representative? In order to also say, look, what you are doing, I don't think you are carrying us along. I don't think that is actually what we want. We sent you there to go and do. You must be able to relate with them and let them know your feelings.
Mm,
That must be a procedure.
just a follow up and then we close it. Now it's just about the defection. There's mass defection now. The people we thought are going to be like opposition in order to be
Yes.
able to help the cause of checks and balances. Most of them are now
Yes.
defecting. How
Yes.
healthy is this? How healthy is this right now to
No,
Nigerian
no,
democracy?
the position of the law is that apart from the legislator, actually, there is no other politician that defect that has an issue with the law or with legislators. There is an issue. There is a provision of the law that if you do defect, you lose your seat. However, if you can prove that your political party where you're coming from has matched, then it become a question of fact whether your defection was lawful or unlawful. Or if you can be able to prove that there is crisis, there is problem from where you are coming from, from where you're coming. So they can listen to you. and say, yes, you have a right to have defected. So most of these people that are defecting, what are the reasons why they are they defecting because their political parties are matched, or are they defecting because there are crises raging in their political party? If there is, it becomes a factual issue, which only the court can decide. Because I keep on hearing people say it's automatic. The
Hmm.
court still have to make a pronouncement. She could hear me today. It is still the
Hmm.
court that will make a pronouncement whether the defection itself is legal or illegitimate illegitimate. Because when the constitution has given you a power, to do something and takes it away with an exception, it then means that that exception must be examined before the court can say yes, your defection was legal or legitimate. So if you defect and there is no reason whatsoever provided by the constitution for you to defect, then you are running into problem. Your defection is illegal. But if you can prove that it's because of the crisis in your political party, there's division in your political party, or there is merger in your political party. Whenever the law creates an exception, you cannot in any way now when people say it's automatic. It's not automatic. The court still have to decide. It's a factual issue which the court have to determine whether the reason for defection is actually covered by the provisions of the constitution. I hope I've made myself clear. So for politically looking at the issue, it's not healthy. Because it doesn't mean that everyone is going to political party that is winning. That is this and all. It doesn't mean that there won't be any opposition. I can assure you that APC, from the look of things, may likely still emerge in 2027 if there is no strong opposition on ground, because there is none now presently. The PDP that everyone is looking up to is embroidered. Look at the crisis; it's even getting wider. Look at what the Supreme Court has said. Look at the way they have interpreted the provisions. I mean, the judgment of the Supreme Court. One is holding with his one leg, another one is holding with another leg, and say, "This is what the Supreme Court, it favors me." So with such crisis, that continues, PDP cannot provide.
Oh, sorry, we lost Barrister again. I was going to ask him, but when he says that there is no opposition again, I was actually going to ask him about El Rufai and the others who are already coming to SDP. I wanted him to speak to that, but I think I don't need to. I mean, that's about the last question I had for him, except for that one. Uh, but I think I should allow it right now because he has to attend to other things. Same here. So everybody who joined, thank you so much for your time. God bless you all. Bye bye for now.